Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. Today we are going to be discussing the significance of Pokemon forms. This includes shiny Pokemon, Mega Evolution, regional variants, and so much more. Today we are live in New York City. My name is DustyGogoat. I'm also with birdkeepertoby.
Heyo.
In Cup of Fee.
Hi.
Welcome, guys. How you doing?
We're good. We're good.
Good.
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a nice day recording videos here in the heart of Unova.
I think why we wanted to discuss Pokemon forms today, it's one, to shamelessly plug your videos about your new Blood Moon form Pokemon, but also because I think the Blood Moon Ursaluna is such a it's like a delicious
cool idea.
addition to like everything we know about Pokemon forms, right? To me, it really feels functionally like a legendary Pokemon, right? Even though it's by name a form of Ursaluna, you, at least at the current time, can't get it any other way outside of a wild encounter, right? It's like old school Snorlax, right? Or how you encounter like a Spirit Tomb, right? I don't know. How do you guys feel about Ursaluna and the Blood Moon form?
It's just a really cool addition because I mean no one expected it to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we're getting the Kitakami games, we know we're getting the Loyal 3, we're getting Ogerpon, but then there's just suddenly this side quest, and there's just an Ursaluna from a whole different time and a different region just here in modern day, and it looks super cool, and I really, really want Pokemon to do more of these.
Yeah.
For real.
I think it was magical, that it's in particular doing a form for a Pokemon that we only just got as an extinct evolution. And I think what really works about that is because it then, of course, naturally leads you to wonder, well, are there any other Hisuian Pokemon that could have survived to today? Which, of course, is your whole video.
And you could even branch out even further. What if there was a Fossilmon that survived to modern day?
Yeah.
And,
Ooh, what if that's
that gets into Genesect, right?
Yeah.
That was the common theory with Genesect.
Even
that it was a Kabuto.
even Paradox Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true. Because they feel like legendary in their own right, kind of like Ultra Beast or
there
something
is.
else.
And there's also something about a sort of I don't know about you guys, when I first saw the art, I sort of thought zombie, like Five Nights at Freddy's, I think you make a couple Five Nights at Freddy's jokes in your video, and I was kind of we're gonna do this whole Pokemon resurrection thing, and I've kind of heard in the leaker sphere maybe talks about Pokemon zombies are, so this is feels like maybe it's a prelude to that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit speculative.
Nah, it could be. It very well could be. Yeah. So there's honestly a lot of different classifications of Pokemon forms. I think let's just lay out some of the largest subgroups of Pokemon forms. We've got the permanent forms, and that's really Pokemon like gender differences. There's alpha Pokemon, paradox. I guess paradox Pokemon. Do you call those forms? I actually don't think.
No,
forms.
I don't call them forms.
No.
They're just their own Pokemon.
That's their own thing.
Yeah. But you have alternatively colored Pokemon.
Shinies.
Yep. And then
is that the official term for them? Alternatively colored Pokemon.
it is. Yeah.
Did they not adopt shiny at some
I swear,
point?
since Gen 5, they've called them shinies in game.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the shiny charm is a thing.
Maybe I know in Pokemon Go they definitely have.
Right.
Yeah.
But shiny Pokemon count. I guess I'm trying to think of some stuff like maybe let's say what's it called? Vivillon, like a Vivillon form. That's a permanent form. So you have a lot of forms like that.
Yeah, lots of Pokemon have that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Unknown, I think
Unknown's a great-
they all have those kinds
those
of
are great
with,
examples.
the pink Butterfree count.
Yep. Basculin.
Which, to be honest, I feel like whenever they come up, and I don't know about you guys, I always feel really quite unexcited by the Pokemon that have just a couple I prefer things
it depends what the change is, right?
Yeah.
Because often they're kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, there's this one's blue, this one's red. And then what else? There's no. I like the permanent Pokemon form changes, not Meowscarada, Meowstick.
But that's a gender variation.
True.
But
there's also a physical
the
appearance.
huge difference.
And there's a go on.
Well, I was just gonna say that there's I feel like when they introduced gender variants in Generation 4, there was a whole huge list of past Pokemon that got these different kind of sexual dimorphisms, whether that's the bigger horns or tusks or whatever, or hair.
Sure.
But then since then, they've only ever really done one or two Pokemon per generation, and they have really radical differences, like the Meowscaradas. No, I'm doing it now. The Meowsticks and the Jellicents and that kind of Pyroars. And
the Dunsparce seems very redundant, right?
Does Dunsparce have a gender variation?
Redundant.
No, not a gender variation. I'm just jumping around. It has it has a form. It has two different forms that are like so similar. It's like, why does this even exist?
Have you heard the recent theory about that by Hybrid Hero?
I have heard it. Yeah,
it's really good.
Are we allowed to? Has it been long enough where we can recite it?
I think so. Yeah.
You want to explain
it? Again, credit to the person.
A Hybrid Hero.
Yeah, Hybrid Hero, friend of the podcast. Yeah.
Yes. The mouse holds are in families of 4 normally.
Yes.
1 in 100 chance is in a family of 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
The Dunsparce is the same, and they both have Pokédex entries talking about how they navigate nests. So the idea is that a 3-segment Dunsparce becomes a 3-segment by eating the mousehold family member that's missing from the equally rare mouseholds.
So perfect. It feels so perfect.
I fully believe it. Like it's canon as far as I'm.
I call that my head canon. Absolutely, I love that so much.
I have enough confidence. That's canon.
That's real canon. That's just absolutely truth. We also have transformative or transformations that Pokemon undergo. And these are, we commonly call these battle forms, right? Mega Evolution, Primal Reversion, the Bond Phenomenon, which not a lot of Pokemon have. Ultra Burst, I think that's Ultra Necrozma. You've got...
I suppose, right, yeah. I see, I don't even consider things like that for, like, I would never...
They're one-off.
You'd never, and I don't know, maybe you would, but would you ever do a video, of, if other Pokemon got Ultra Burst? And I feel like no one would know what you're talking about.
I mean, and it's just other Ultra Beasts fused with...
Necrozma?
I mean, that could be cool, but I feel like it would be very repetitive design-wise. I don't know how interesting that could be.
There's an artist I worked with. I used their art to make a couple shorts, but they're still making it. They're halfway through they're halfway through Gen 4, and they've gone through each generation so far, giving all of the major characters Bond Phenomenon Pokemon.
Right, cool.
And it's really cool. There's a couple shorts on my channel. Credit to that artist. Their name is slipping right now, my mind. But yeah, we also have Dynamax here, Eternamax, which is a one-off of Dynamax, or Gigantamax, Terrestrial Phenomenon. I kind of want to cue up Toby to explain Infinity Energy. I feel like you were,
Yeah, well, there's so it's interesting that. Oh, well, okay. So the short version is that Pokemon are made up of magical energy.
Yeah.
That is It's just the life energy of Pokemon. There's technology that can be engineered from it. That's called Infinity Energy.
Yeah.
The energy of Necrozma specifically turns into this light energy that can be used for Ultra Wormholes and Z-Crystals and all those other things. When expressed through Eternatus' body, it becomes the Gigantamax energy, but it's all the same stuff. And the general rule is that the energy, when ingested by Pokemon, make Pokemon become bigger, stronger, change their shapes. And so we see that consistently through, Mega Evolution. Gigantamax, noble Pokemon. They're just bigger alpha Pokemon that then glow a golden light. We see it with the Titan Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet that have eaten the Herb Mystical. They just get bigger, and sometimes their shapes change as well, and we get these kind of battle variations that are perhaps the strongest those Pokemon individual species can be. Is like that. The Totem Pokemon as well from Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and so that's kind of all of that. And I sort of think if you dig into the lore enough, that's sort of where Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Ash Greninja actually also fall into that. The Battlebond Greninja. They're both variations of that specific species of Pokemon that have been exposed to an excessive amount of that life energy. I think with something like Battlebond Greninja, it's in the heat of the moment of battle. With something like Ursaluna, perhaps it's a slow process over time as a result of the environment it's in, that it just happens to be exposed to more of this special energy. It's the same, of course, energy that's responsible for terastallizing. Yeah. That's great. What do you think?
Do
you like that?
Yeah, no, it all sounds good. I like the idea that Ursaluna would potentially get more of the Infinity Energy because it's in an area that has so many ghost types. That could be cool.
That's fun. That's fun. Who said it yesterday? We met someone in New York and they said
this is Fruit. I gotta credit Fruit here.
Yeah.
You wanna do it?
No, you can do it.
I feel like I'm doing all the theories.
Yeah, well, we're having you on.
You're good.
All right.
Also, Fruit's your mod.
Fruit's my mod. So
I just met him yesterday.
Fruit said.
It's your responsibility.
So the thinking is that ghost Pokemon normally come about as a result of this Infinity Energy, this life force of Pokemon, manifesting itself, and that's what the Timeless Woods is, which inspired where Ursaluna lives. But he was suggesting that actually Ghastly is a gas Pokemon because it's made up of the like sort of necrotic gases of the rotting corpses of the graveyards where you find it. So it's not actually that it's a ghost that lingers in the graveyard so much as it's the gases of decomposing bodies in a graveyard form into this Pokemon.
And that makes so much sense. And explains why they're why they're
gaseous.
Right?
Why they're gaseous,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it so much. So the other Pokemon form is another fan favorite, regional forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that like seemed revolutionary at the time, but also like felt so right. It felt so Pokemon. And it's funny how we're only like 2-3 generations away from it, and I think there's already been like a lot of fatigue, at least from I feel some fatigue with regional forms. I feel like they don't really provide what a lot of people want from regional forms. I feel like people look at regional forms as a way to fix old designs or old typings, but really it's supposed to be. So what a regional form is, right? Whatever, say, magic or energy is in the Infinity Energy or in a Pokemon Stone or a battle item or a evolutionary item, is present in whatever region Pokemon is exposed to. So you get a Vulpix that goes to Alola, spends too much time near snow. All of a sudden, one of them transforms behind scenes, right? And it becomes one of these Alolan Vulpix. You can't do that in the game, but when you find an Alolan Vulpix, that's like becomes a new form of
That's not what
Vulpix.
regional variants are.
Yeah, I think that's what they are.
They don't transform. They don't. It's not like one. No.
We don't do that in game. But
Have you watched
that's
my Tree of Evolution series, Dusty?
Not in a while.
Regional
That's
variation.
not canon. That's not canon.
Regional variation. It doesn't happen as a result of some magic transformation behind the scene. That's evolution. That's Pokemon evolution.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They change. They branch as a result of populations over time. It's real evolution.
Yeah, but that's real evolution.
Yeah, that's how regional variants work.
I don't think so.
What are you talking about? That's literally the gimmick.
No, because hear me out. When you take an Alolan Vulpix and you breed it outside of Alola, it becomes magically a regular Vulpix. So that's my understanding. And listen, and here's another piece of evidence. When you take Eevee and you either put it near an ice stone or a leaf stone, not the actual stone, but the rock.
Yeah,
right?
the mossy rock.
The mossy rock, whatever, right? That's an environmental factor. And I think the rock, I feel like regular evolutionary stones are just a chip of a larger rock.
Like a moss rock in Sinnoh becomes a leaf stone if you chip it down.
Exactly. That's my understanding of it.
I don't disagree with what you're saying about because obviously that is how the eggs work.
Because evolutionary is actually,
but I see that as more of a game mechanic. I see that as more of a game mechanic. The whole point of regional variation in the Pokédex entries and how they're described is that it's popular. So it's like so like Rattata, for example, in Alola was brought in to deal with the Gumshoos problem, the Yungoos problem. And then, however, as a result of the Yungoos then hiding during the during the daytime, Alolan and Rattata adapted to like become the nighttime variant. But that's like a slow process that happens over generations and time. Now I understand what you're saying is if you took on Alolan and Rattata, you bring it back to Kanto, you breed it, you're gonna get a regular Rattata. But I think that's more to do.
It is tricky. So I think
I don't know that I would treat that as canon because everything else about regional variants suggests that they are exactly that. They're regional variations.
So there's two ways I want to go with this. One is just
I don't disagree
to kind of help you out to kind of maybe find some middle ground. I think maybe what I'm describing is more exemplary of, let's say, Cubone, right?
Yeah.
Cubone is Cubone, but when it is an Alola, then it evolves miraculously. When it's anywhere else, it evolves miraculously into.
So you're saying
Marowak, like a stone.
It has to be environmental, but it can't be over time. It just has to be.
I think all evolution.
Because if you flew a Cubone to Alola today, it would evolve one way. If you flew it to Kanto, it would evolve another. And so it can't be as a result of exposure over time.
So maybe we don't have all the answers. And again, I think. I think
my worldview is falling apart.
I know, right? So this is good. This is the point of hidden power, right? So I think I feel so important with this pencil.
It's good, isn't it?
I'm like, I feel like a teacher. I'm like commanding.
You're like gesturing.
So Toby, like another thing. Well, I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that? All right.
I'm
she
letting
wants
the
to stay out
experts
of it.
do the experting. It's
So
fine.
I think it's you're doing the right thing. What everyone else is doing is to try to like make sense of it. But I think a lot of people tried to do that with convergent evolution when it didn't even have a name. Some people called it regional fake. Some people called it convergent evolutions.
Does it have an official name?
It doesn't. And
Okay.
now what I think the community is starting to, or at least some people are starting to fall back on is, there's no scientific explanation for what they are. They're actually just Pokemon that look like other Pokemon.
Well, that is convergent evolution.
Yes, but then how do you explain Sinistea and Poltergeist? Because that's
Right.
the thing that messed me
So,
up.
hang on. So, Sinistea...
Because I was all on board with convergent evolution.
But
until
those
that.
Pokemon are so similar, right?
Yeah, but why are they swapped? Why are they named after each other? It's like they're literally
Yeah,
just
that was
silly,
Oh,
goofy
well, I'm not
lookalikes.
worried about the names. The names
Okay.
don't matter because the names are, that looks like the Sinistea Pokemon in, we should call it Sinistea when
Yeah.
you discover it. So I'm not worried about the names in terms of reconciling that
Yeah.
lore. But is it, what is it? It's the case that
We need Lumi here to be like, no, this is
What
why.
types
I
are
actually
they?
know why it's this is
they're
why.
Grass Ghost
They're grass-
and
Ghost.
They're all grass
and Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grass ghost.
And Ghost Fairy, is it? Is that right?
No, they're all just grass ghost, I believe. Am I
No,
wrong?
Sinistea and this is your mascot.
the originals aren't.
I know.
This is literally your mascot for your new channel, Cup
Are we mansplaining her
You-
mascot?
No, Sinistie's not grass type.
Sinistea. So Sinischa.
No, Sinistea and Poltergeist are not grass type.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
I swear they are.
Nah, they're not.
Wait, what? They're not
I
ghost.
definitely used grass moves on them in my sword playthrough.
Look at right now.
Wait,
Alright.
Sinistea.
Alright,
Sinistea.
internet, give
Alright,
us the
this is
answer.
live.
Ooh, doing some live.
not grass type.
Sinistea.
I swear it's grass type.
Maybe I know nothing about Pokemon. That's also possible here.
Aren't you retiring? It's just
Yeah.
ghost type.
Yeah.
Okay,
just-
but
It's
what about
alright.
when it evolves though?
when it evolves into Poltergeist,
It's just ghost type.
Please.
no, it's just Ghost type.
no, I'm a failure.
This is your mascot.
I
this
thought
is your
Absol-
new channel
No, no, no,
mascot.
no,
I thought Absol was fairy type for the
Okay.
record, so like
Wait,
we
check,
can all make
check its
mistakes.
moveset. Check its
Yeah,
moveset.
that probably is go.
I need to like back up my claim here because like I swear there's a reason that I thought it was a grass type.
Yeah, it has grass moves.
Yeah, I had Giga
Giga
Drain on
Drain,
it.
Alright.
That's why.
But then the other one is
Strength
just
up.
Ghost Grass, right? The
Yeah,
other, the other
one's
two.
grass
Yeah.
grass.
So, and the thing is that like when I would, when we explained on the Tree of Evolution how Phoebe Boyd, by the way, helped out hugely with that, like the Tree of Evolution poster. When we
It's my baby.
did that, we deemed that it's still ultimately tea leaves, so it probably is at least grass in some nature, like the many other grass ghosts, like Bramblin and Delmise and that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So when they brought in this Sinistea regional fake convergent evolution,
It's
I
starting
was
to feel
like,
like a
I was
regional
like,
form.
but that's just a regional form.
Yeah, yeah.
So why isn't it a regional form? Do we know?
We don't know, and I think my point of bringing that up is to say like they continue to like change what we actually understand about all
Maybe
this
it's
stuff.
just biologically a different tea leaf, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
right.
they're not
Yeah.
related.
They,
I don't
they
know.
physically are different.
So-
feelings.
Well, in that case, that's it. That's how they're not related, but they are
Yeah.
similar. But I still think that's regional. That's just convergent evolution. Then
Yeah.
it's two creatures that have evolved very similarly from
Yeah.
two different kinds of tea
I mean,
leaves
we-
that are unrelated.
we pretty much know all of Sinistre's origin story. Like, do we have the same for Sinistea?
Not really, no.
Because I mean, all we know is that it exists.
and then Pokemon like Wiglet and Wugtrio again are just Pokemon that are
like that makes sense to me. One's
completely
a fish,
unrelated
one's a
to-
male.
yeah.
It's just a
That makes sense.
I think the thing that Sinistrai is it?
Sinistea?
Sinistea.
We need
Sinistea
that.
and
We need
Sinis-
Sinistea and we need
Sinistea.
Sinis Latte? I don't know.
Sinis
We need
Latte?
coffee and chai.
The tea and coffee, the tea Pokemon.
Chai is tea though, right?
Yeah.
I watched Spider-Man.
We all know that now. The
Yeah.
tea Pokemon,
tea.
I think the only point is to illustrate is that, yes, they are convergent evolutions, but they're convergent. Obviously, it's easy to see when you've got Wugtrio and Dugtrio because
Yeah.
they're two completely different animals. But there is still a lot of variety in the different types of tea leaves, for example.
Yeah.
And or like if you did it with two different mole Pokemon that look like Dugtrio,
Yeah.
there's still a good range of different moles, and so it's sort of, I guess, in that way they're just closer related, but they are still ultimately unrelated.
All right, I can get on board with that. A bigger conversation that I want to have though is like, I think the naming convention of like Hisuian Voltorb or the one I look at is like, what's the one that appears in? So basically, it's like, all right, I don't know. These Pokemon only exist in Alola, but I really feel like it's whatever environmental factors are in Alola.
Yeah.
Is what actually causes it to evolve. So in the future, and I think this is why there may be going to be, we only had like 2 regional forms in Paldea. I feel like they're going to kind of inch away from it. Because at a point, it's going to get weird where it's like every Pokemon is classified by the region, but Game Freak doesn't actually
So,
want
do you
to
think-
remake every region.
Rather than
You know?
having Alolan forms or even
It should be like
Hisuian forms.
volcano form.
Yeah, you'd have
whatever.
sun forms and
Yeah.
rain forms would be the Galar ones or whatever, and then because of all the rain we get, and then you'd have ancient forms which would account for all of the Hisuian Pokemon, that kind of thing, and then that way if you have like a Legends Johto game or whatever, you could have new forms and they're all
is the global warming form.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yikes.
I don't know. I'm not showing you guys right now, but there's a whole list.
We're skimming through
them, and they look so good. But it's I don't know. It's interesting, and then it gets even more fun when can't Mr. Oh, here's another example. Mime Jr. can evolve into Galarian Mr. Mime.
Yeah.
Wild. So I'm just dunking on you.
It's cool. It's cool. It actually but weirdly, despite the fact you're shaking my worldview here, it does line up with the evidence in Pokemon that rocks, in particular, contain massive amounts of amounts of energy, right?
Like it makes sense because obviously Alola is based off of Hawaii, which has a really interesting geology because they're built off of volcanoes. So like it would make sense for Alola specifically to have so many regional variants.
Cool.
Sure. But then I suppose not.
But the UK has some interesting rock stuff.
UK's got cool geology. We've got Stonehenge.
I mean that's like a rock that was bought there.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, like we have some fairly interesting geology. Like, the area where you find okay. So where you find Mr. Mime is near Sirchester, right?
Yeah.
Which is where baths are, which is based off of the real life bath, which is a place, and has hot springs.
Cool.
Which again is a volcanic sort of process, you know? So
okay.
like maybe something to do with heat under the ground is what causes these to happen.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Well, Pokemon has had historically, so it started with the evolution stones, but Mega Evolution Stones, Z Crystals, the Soul Dew, the red and blue orbs, the Adamant Orb and Lustrous Orb, like all of these stones, the Terrestrial Crystals and Terra Shards, all of these rocks that change the Pokemon's forms quite dramatically. So it actually does kind of line up what you're saying here, where it's like, well, okay, actually, maybe it is and I hate this because I want it to be more of a grounded, evolutionary, slow over time process. But actually,
and it could be, Joey, it could be.
But actually,
some Pokemon could actually be like
what
that.
You're sort of suggesting between the two of you is actually on the Alolan Islands, the geology is so different that the energy that radiates, which lines up with Pokemon lore, is what allows these Pokemon to transform this specific way. And actually, that kind of ties into give me brainwaves here for the Indigo Disc.
There's a chance that what you said is still a thing where they did the Alolan Raticates did change for the Yungoos. Like maybe there's a chance that the geology is so different that it destabilizes the foreign Pokemon.
Right.
To
Okay.
make them
Sure.
more,
Sure.
Like evolutionarily flexible.
Could be.
Like that could be a thing because then you'd be happy
and then we can have it both ways. But it kind of makes me think about the Blueberry Academy because there's the terrarium down the bottom of the Blueberry Academy, right? And we've seen Alolan Pokemon in there. I assume we're gonna have other regional variants. And we can see the it's divided into 4 sections by these blocks that look like they're made of Terra crystals, and so there might be this idea that what's happening is I assume if you were to take an Execute, for example, to the corner of the Blueberry Academy that has Alolan Executor, that it will evolve into an Alolan Executor.
That would make sense to me.
So it might be the case that the particular geology of that area is what's causing that to change in the terrarium. And that's as a result of, the rocks and the energies below it. I know it sounds sci-fi, but actually that is literally Pokemon's whole thing. I got a whole thing about rocks.
If you're enjoying this episode, please consider supporting Hidden Power on Patreon or YouTube channel members. Right now we have 4 tiers and the lowest membership starts at just $5 a month. Supporters get access to our secret Discord server and help control the direction of the podcast. Supporters also get access to our archive of bonus episodes.
Okay, so our Discord honestly is popping. We have other creators in there too, which is kind of fun. It ain't just the 3 of us. We're discussing leaks when they drop. We talk about news. We'll be talking about how SoulSilverArt has, just garbage takes.
It's so much
a
fun.
place for us to connect.
I'm in there every day. Also, we have revamped our merch store. So proud of every product that is in this store now. We have stickers, t-shirts, mugs, ball caps, right? The dad caps, these ball caps are embroidered. Look at this. It's literally an embroidered.
So clean.
You cannot get anything more high quality than that.
I just got news. Do y'all hear that? Bulbasaur says that he even has his own merch.
I'll talk for him. It's beautiful. Very cool designs. You guys should
Very
check it out.
Japanese style.
Even the front of the shirt has a unique logo.
I'm getting one for sure.
If you're invested in this show, invest in the show. Thank you so much for watching, and now back to the video.
This is the Hidden Power Podcast. Our mascot is unknown. The very first Pokemon to have a permanent form change, not a form change, but different variant forms, is unknown. I think that's, just take a moment of silence and claps. That's great. We love that.
Let's go.
But I think this is actually not too dissimilar to regional form. Regional forms, right? These are all the same Pokemon, but they all look different. Why do they all look different? They must have all had an origin, right? Where they maybe looked similar, and then kind of, unless you're, maybe Unknown specifically was created by Arceus, so maybe Unknown's not a great example for that. But a lot of Pokemon that just like look different, it's kind of the same energy where something caused it to, change differently, right? Let's find an example right here. I was looking at cast form. We've got the different. I was gonna say Wormadam, but that's that's based on its environment.
It's on the same
Environmental
sort of realm as like Applin.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a funny one. So
Right
you've
here.
got up Gastrodon and Chalice, east
This
and
is-
west coast.
That's regional.
But here's the thing. There's an east and west form of Gastrodon in a bunch of regions.
Yeah.
But it's not like in the Pokemon world,
Yeah.
all the regions are in an exact line around with the
Wow.
center of the planet with an east and a west.
Yeah.
Also, east and west is made up.
Yeah.
We made it up.
Yeah.
The Pokemon don't know that they're in the east
So
and west.
we named them. That's a really good point.
So-
we named them East and West, but really,
I don't think they're east and west forms. I think
No.
they're something else.
I think we're actually breaking down something here. I guess, there's also like Pokemon like cast form, right?
Yeah.
This is honestly all lining up. Every time I go to say something, I'm like, no, this lines up with what we're saying,
Yeah.
with what we're understanding right now. Normal cast form, when it's exposed to certain weathers, right, it will change its form.
Yeah.
So that totally lines up.
Again, it's an evolution based off of an environmental factor. It just happens to be an environmental
Deoxys,
factor.
when exposed to a different meteorite, so that's
Yep.
geology
Different
again.
rock again.
That is, some of these forms are definitely like way more extreme than others, but I guess Deoxys is not really that complicated in that sense.
No, sure.
We also have, there's a lot of visual differences with these different, all these forms, right? I have some sort of visual element, but I'm always really fascinated by the ones that change types, that change stat distributions, right?
Sure.
Look, that one's honestly Cherubi or Cherum. That is
that's
weather-based again, right?
It's just a flower doing flower things. I feel like that one's not really a form change.
Yeah, right.
It's just like
Yeah.
it moves its petals.
It really does. I love it though. I think Cherubi and Cherum are super.
And some of them
underrated.
pretty much are just aesthetic. I'd say Rotom is one of those where it's kind of more or less. Yes, it changes the type of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
But that's just because of the machinery it's in.
Yeah. It's another like Applin Wormadam kind of situation. It's just a Pokemon inhabiting a different shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So do you want to explain Shaman to me? Because I've honestly never liked Shaman. It turns from a hedgehog into a deer that has wing antlers. I thought you were gonna shut off the podcast.
Yeah, off it goes.
He is off.
Is it like you're using an iPad with a shaman on it? Like
No, I know. I'm not
How
trying to be
dare you.
disrespectful, but this is my show.
So before you were
With all due
Cuppa,
respect.
for those who don't know, before you were Cuppafee, you were.
I've been the last shaman for the last 4 years until
Yeah.
about a month ago.
When there were more shaman found, so you couldn't be the
Yeah.
last shaman anymore.
Yeah, no, there's been a resurgence in the shaman.
So now you're
population.
Cuppafee. Yeah. So.
And so what is
shaman.
the Gracidia? What is that?
It's a
Gracidia.
type, it's a type of flower. So
Okay.
every year, all of the shaman go to like a flower garden where there's a bunch of Gracidia, which is a rare flower. And they all like, I don't know, they do a little dance or something. I don't know exactly how it
I
works.
like that.
Yeah, they
Should we
just,
all
like,
do the dance?
Little shimmy. And then they become a flying type, so then they can migrate.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
I didn't. I honestly, that makes sense.
That's the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is.
And once again, flowers allow us to transform because
They're
Infinity
from the
energy.
ground.
they're from the ground, they're from the
Okay,
earth, and we
alright.
see that with the Herba Mystica. We see that with Herb
We
Mystica.
do, yeah, that's
And
true.
actually, I think
It
in...
can also only be done during the day. So that one's like a
Interesting.
mixture of like the two environmental types.
Yeah.
There's also in BDSP, isn't there like a shard that's like for when you're trying to get for the legendary Pokemon?
Yeah.
There's like a shard that looks like the Gracidia flower. No?
Shard? What game?
I'm gonna be honest, I never finished BDSP.
In Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, there's like when you're digging up for the legendary Pokemon, there's like some kind of shard. It looks kind of similar. I might be wrong about
There
it.
probably is.
But it might be that the flower literally is at some point buried under the earth. I don't know.
There probably is. Leave a
I mean,
comment
they're
below.
very
me
very
know.
rare, and they tend to be found together, so it would make sense that it's because they need
Yeah.
a specific type of
Yeah.
composition to grow.
I'm trying to figure out Basculin right now. Like, they're all water type. They all have the same same stats. Actually, they don't. They have different stats.
I don't.
No, they have.
We don't need to go through every form, do we?
No, I know. I'm just thinking about it differently. But
Thinking about it out loud.
Why
'Cause
was the white stripe
I-
specifically?
if you boil why is the white stripe? But if you boil all of these down, I thought this would be a little bit more comprehensive. But if you boil it all down, I think we just solved them at the beginning.
you
Right?
did
It's
it.
like,
We
Yeah.
solved it, guys.
Seasons is interesting though, right? Because that's not from the Earth, but Seasons lines up with
Yeah.
Cherim.
And it's
In
not a common
environments and-
form change either. Like they will change throughout the year. But then like the thing with that one is that's just a thing that animals do.
But we've
It's,
now
it's like
seen...
the cherub. Like plants in nature will bloom, and there are animals that will have different coats throughout the year.
And we've now
Oh,
seen
really?
yeah,
Sourcebuck
have
in...
you ever seen a Arctic fox? You know,
No.
like a white fox.
No.
Oh,
I mean, I've probably
or like
seen
an
it
Arctic
online.
hare.
Yeah.
They have these gorgeous white coats during the winter, but then because they live in the
changed
in the
that.
tundra during the summer, the snow will melt and they change to a sort of more brownish kind of coat.
Interesting.
It's like if you have a dog, it sheds during the summer.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, same thing.
That's really
It
cool.
We
just
have
doesn't
now
aesthetic
seen the
difference.
Sourcebucks, though, in Scarlet and Violet, no?
Yeah,
In
but-
different biomes as
Yeah,
well?
but they will change their appearance if you bring them to a different biome. I believe.
Ah, interesting. Okay,
Which,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
I
cool.
was trying to get one of each, and then I was bringing it to different parts of the region, and it kept changing, and it was really frustrating.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah?
So we've got the forces of nature here, right? We're talking about Gen 5 now. When they look into the reveal glass, they have these completely new form changes. Do you guys have any insight on this?
I do, but you want to give it a stab? Because I might be wrong.
Which one of me?
Just the Therian forms.
I mean, they're based off of the different winds, which are, I think it's...
Oh, really?
Is it Chinese mythology?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so one of them is a dragon, one of them is a bird, one of them is a tiger, and then one of them is a turtle and a snake. I honestly don't know much about it further than that, but like, I don't know, like, I mean, that's why it is what it is, but like, I don't know why the reveal glass specifically.
I think it's just a case that
Would
they're
do it.
from the dream world
Yeah.
in Pokemon, and the dream world is another dimension. And you sort of see it with Giratina as well, where it's got
Yeah,
its
yeah.
origin form when it's in its home reality, and I
Yeah.
think it's entirely a form of comfort. It's more comfortable for them in the dream world to inhabit their
Or like
Therian
it's
forms,
swirly,
or,
snaky form.
you know, but when they're dealing with the physics of that universe. When they're in this universe, they become more comfortable just being people sitting on clouds, or
That's
Giratina
really interesting.
walking
Yeah.
and adhering to gravity. And
Like, those
singing.
are their
Yeah.
mystical forms, right?
Yeah.
They're way more imaginative. And they've got little stones on their bellies, too.
I always wondered what the
Once again,
crystals were about.
stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, geology and stones.
Are the stones present in the genie designs? Because I'm looking
There's
at
one
it,
right
and-
here.
No,
Oh, the
in
genies?
the genies.
I don't know. Maybe it's on their chest and
I
they're
don't
hiding it.
see-
But it would be present on a Namarus. Maybe it's on their tail.
Maybe.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know.
Because they're all sat there cross arms.
Yeah. Maybe
So-
I mean,
maybe
they
the, maybe
could
the
be hiding
gem.
it. Maybe like when
And
the,
that's
when the
the
gem's
reveal
hidden,
glass. You
Yeah,
reveal
reveals
the
the
stone.
the
stone.
gems and then it changes form.
That's pretty cool.
That could be it.
Then there, I mean, so I'm looking at Kyurem now, and this is something different because this is fusion. We've done a whole episode on this. We don't need to get into it too much, but this is a form type, a form change, right? So maybe let's explain fusion a little bit. What our major findings on our fusion Pokemon episode was that, was it fusion? Yeah, fusion is almost like for the most case was like became telekinesis, and it was present in a lot of psychic type Pokemon. That's not present for Kyurem. The Pokemon I'm thinking about are Calyrex, right? Big
Okay.
brain, psychic, takes control of
I
the
see.
horses.
Yep.
You've got Slow King, Slow Bro. Those are both psychic types. There's 2 brains there. Help me out. What are some other fusions?
I was amazed you came up with 2. I didn't even think about those.
I'm trying to think really hard. I wish this is why we need Zach and Lumi here. But Kyurem's so different because there's this mythological tale of a Pokemon that used to exist and then were broken up. The only real evidence I would actually say there's really no evidence that the original dragon ever existed, right? You could say that that's the legend. And I've never thought about this before, but the legend is, Kyurem is, was split into 2, right? And basically modern science created Kyurem Black and Kyurem White.
But that's not natural. That's just...
I've never thought of that before, but maybe that's the case.
I mean, it would make sense because they
And
have generators as part of their tail.
That's
so,
true.
That's not
yeah.
really an old-fashioned thing.
I could see that. argument.
Which would be disappointing.
It would be disappointing, I think, at this point. But I could see that.
Because, the original dragon does sound kind of cool.
And obviously, it's worth noting that Kyurem Black and White, the Zekrom and Reshiram both come from stones.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you've got that as well. It's another set of
Yeah.
orbs. And Kyurem itself is a giant ice crystal. Like, it's a giant...
It is. It really is.
Yeah, frozen crystal. So there's another tie there. And there's also... If it is the original dragon, Regidrago has Pokedex entries talking about crystallized dragon energy that it came from, so that would probably be the source.
Have we talked about Battle Bond much? We mentioned it in the beginning. That's something interesting, because I don't really think Battle Bond is environmental. This is actually, like, similar to Fusion, but instead of another Pokemon, it's almost like the life essence, the aura of its trainer, right?
Battle Bond is like the closest, I think, to the Ursaluna, where it's a one-off member of that species that through extraordinary means, in this case the bond with a particular Pokemon trainer, that has allowed it to transform in this way. But I think the Ursaluna is kind of a promise that we might see more things like that in the future.
Which would be cool.
Which, if you want to get a look of what that might look like...
Yeah, that's true.
Phoebe has a video, you have a video on exactly this. You're not going to shout it out, Phoebe, so I'll shout it out.
Yeah.
You got a video on exactly
video.
this with Weirdeer and Sneasler and the other ride Pokemon of Hisui.
Braviary, what was the other one?
Which is super cool. And
Basculegion, yeah.
you're... and I guess, are you interested in actually seeing that? Do you think we'll get that?
What, more battle ones?
Yeah, or the Ursalunas, the Blood Moons.
Oh,
You called them something different, but...
So I called it Blood Moons in the title of the video, and a lot of people in the comments got really mad at me. They were like,
That's probably why the video did
These
well.
others aren't Blood Moons, blah, blah, blah. And
Sure.
it's like, I know that, but like calling the title
Something that doesn't exist.
evolution based
What if-
off of environment doesn't like roll
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
watching that video.
No.
I like these idea of, though, this category one day of, like, unique specimen Pokemon or whatever, where it's like these one-of-a-kind
Master
mythosy.
Pokemon.
And I think their stats are, like, Greninja stats are high. Ursaluna's?
Ursaluna changes from a physical attacker to a special attacker, which is
Right.
very strange.
Wow, yeah. Look. I don't have the exact number right here, but it looks like it's when Greninja becomes Ash Greninja, it gets, I think, 50 extra points in attack, special attack, and then it gets 10 more in
A little bit of
speed.
speed.
Although I guess the difference,
It's
of course, is
110
that
points.
Ash Greninja is only Ash Greninja in battle, whereas Ursaluna is Blood Moon. It's just
Yeah.
the Blood Moon version.
Ash Greninja, in a lot of ways, is a mega.
Yeah, I suppose it is
That's
closer
true.
to Mega
Yeah.
Evolution.
Like it came out in Gen 6, didn't it?
As
Yeah.
part of that, yeah.
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 Here's another example. Here's another piece of evidence for regional evolution and these form changes. Vivillon literally will evolve
Depending on where you hatch
depending
the
on
egg.
where it is, right?
Yeah.
That's like it's like real life evolution. There's so many of them right here. Then we've also got Flabebe, that's another flower, right? Which we also have the eternal flower,
Which
the paradox
is-
Pokemon that never happened.
Which
Yeah.
a lot of people think is an example of a Blood Moon evolution.
I
which
love
is,
that.
like,
That's cool.
It's a common sort of fan theory.
Oh, I
I've seen.
hadn't even
Because it
thought about
lived
that.
forever.
Yeah.
For 3,000 years.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that. That
Phoebe.
makes so
Oh
much
my
sense.
God.
I just want to. I did not come up with this. Like,
You came up with that?
No.
That's,
You invented this right now on the
amazing.
podcast?
oh my
No.
god.
Another reason to subscribe to Cup of Fee. So sorry,
So
Azy's Floette
Yeah.
is to Floette what Ursaluna is to the Blood Moon Ursaluna to other
That's
Ursalunas.
really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's lived for a really long time, which we know is the case. And we but then we know that AZ's Floette looked like that before. That's the other thing. We do know that AZ's Floette looked like...
we don't know how long he'd had the Floette either.
Well, that's true.
It could have
it's
been
true.
100 years, which would be the same amount of time as the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That's a really cool theory. I'm going to tweet that later.
That's really odd. I'm going to do a theory about that on my channel and take full credit. That's amazing. That's amazing. No, I love that. That's
Well,
so
this
good.
is actually going to be up before your video on Hidden Power Podcast, so actually we get credit full
Snap.
for it.
You're welcome, buddy.
That's thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Because I got what you were saying about it. Oh, it's a paradox Pokemon. Because I
That's
had
the
heard
theory
of that.
that I've heard.
But
I like
actually,
that.
that's really good. I like
That
that,
makes
more.
more
The
sense.
Blood Moon.
It's
The
funny.
Blood Moon.
People were like, "Oh, Eternal Flower would be the perfect name."
For a paradox.
And then they were
And then
like,
people are like,
"It doesn't
AZ,
fit."
It doesn't fit the
Area
character.
Zero.
Yeah.
Which, it's,
Yeah.
come on.
That would be cool, honestly, in another dimension. That'd be pretty sweet. For Frow's, nothing interesting. Aegislash is literally just a form change. All the Pumpkaboos, just different
sizes. Doesn't really matter.
Xerneas is...
Let's not even talk about Xerneas.
Yeah, it's just like,
Oh,
it's
you-
not even anything.
It's okay, buddy.
No.
He's never
I want to
forgiven
learn
the
the
deer.
pain.
No, I don't.
It's 'cause
just,
he-
okay, well, look at that. So see that Xerneas there?
Yeah, you never get
How
that.
cool is that?
You never get it.
Yeah.
You never get
That
it.
one?
You only get neutral mode.
Super lame.
Yeah.
I see.
I don't understand that.
And it's not like
That's
they
just
did
my
the same
feeling.
thing with Xerneas. Not
Yeah.
Yveltal either.
Yeah.
Evolve,
Like,
yeah.
it's just...
It's just it. It's like,
Yeah. They just-
you chose X version.
They just nerfed the deer for no reason. It's like, oh, you want this beautiful rainbow
But
deer?
again,
No.
gems in the head, gems once
Yeah.
again, gemstones.
Yeah, floaty gems.
Yeah, Zygarde is an accumulation of power and the different cells in its body. Are there any theories around that or any further explanations for those?
Yeah,
I mean,
loads.
again, it's a ground type.
Yeah, that's true. It comes from the ground.
So like, the cells are found all over the place on the Earth.
Yep.
The Earth incarnate.
Could be like it's got a red crystal in it.
It,
right?
it
Like,
really
represents
does.
it
And a blue
represents the
crystal.
life energy of the Earth,
Yeah.
which is why it tries to keep balance. And its cells are everywhere, and then it's got these cores that
It's
are
like
like
the core
rock
of the
cores.
Earth.
Yeah,
The,
yeah.
the center of the Earth. That's really cool. I think it would be really cool. Maybe this is a video you do because I can't draw. 20% form, 30% form, and they're all just different animals. I've always like the dog is my favorite.
I don't know.
Do
What's
uneven
like,
numbers.
What's like halfway between dog and snake? Like what animal is? I don't know. Like a
Weasel.
whole-
It's a furret.
It's a good idea.
It's just a fur.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Hoopa's cool. Hoopa goes under like a crazy transformation. It's Hoopa Unbound, right?
I mean,
It was
I feel like this one could be potentially similar to the genies.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
again, genies, and
It's
then this
literally
one
a
is
genie.
again literally a genie, but it's also sort of related to, I don't know, like
Yeah.
opening up different dimension or different world and getting power through that, right?
This is interesting. I'd never read this before. Hoopa Confined, which is the small form, after 3 days, Hoopa Unbound will turn into Hoopa Confined after 3 days have passed since using the
I
prison
mean, I
bottle.
guess that comes from the 3 wishes.
It
right?
does, yeah. But I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Let's see what else we got. We got Oricorio, that's environmental. Lycanroc, time of day.
time of day. Yeah.
Yep, and that's also rock type.
Yep.
Wishy-washy, an accumulation.
It's just a lot of them.
Yeah, there really are a lot of these.
Yeah.
What do you
Savali's man-made.
do? You guys think Mimikyu is a look-alike Pokemon? That's something that I've always wondered.
What do you mean?
Because Mimikyu's on the list because it has a disguised and busted form. I'm not interested
Because
in that.
Mimikyu doesn't look like that.
But it looks like Pikachu.
Mimikyu's
It does.
disguise looks like Pikachu. Mimikyu
Okay.
itself is a little
That's
creature
true.
that no one knows that is supposedly so horrific if you look at it. Like,
That's
I don't
true.
know, something bad happens to you. I can't
You
remember
could do an art
But-
video on like different disguises
Yeah.
at some point.
Oh,
That'd be cool.
many people have done those, but they are cool.
Sure.
All right, so Necrozma is another psychic type Pokemon that takes over these other bodies.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about mind control. That's how I understand it. That form change. Man, Ultra Necrozma is sick. So we got there's a lot of Pokemon here that are just like
Odd forms.
just
yeah.
like Cramorant eating a Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the Sinistea forms, right? Where there's phony and antique.
I think it's a cool concept.
You do?
I'm here for it. I mean, it's literally just a case of a creature in a different vessel. It
Yeah.
just happens to spawn a little stamp.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it does make sense. Morpeko, I gotta shout it out. It literally is hangry.
Yeah.
It literally enrages and becomes a different Pokemon.
But
it gains a dark type.
There is something here because when we talk about the life energy of Pokemon, the life energy of Pokemon also. There's a number of expressions of it. One of that is Aura, which we see in Lucario, and its chief ability, right, is Aura Wheel, right? It's its chief move.
That's true.
So it's kind of got that element. It's still tied into the lore. It's not just silly for the sake of silly. It's tied into the deep lore.
I liked it a lot. Urshifu, I think, is one of the most underwhelming Pokemon form changes.
Yeah.
It literally just changes.
Style, right?
It's because it's designed around Dynamax, which is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, they've just sort of ruined their own Pokemon in the future by just,
absolutely,
designing it a bit badly.
And a lot of these fusion Pokemon, we talked about this before, but I gotta bring it up. A lot of these fusion forms, like Calyrex turning, fusing with the Ice Rider, whatever it's called, what is it? Whatever it's called. I feel like a lot of these Pokemon have the potential and should almost have 3 types. You ever think about that?
Yeah. I mean, its type ability even is as 1, isn't it? So that gives it 2 abilities.
Yeah. What is the environmental change that Palafin undergoes?
Friendship.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's friendship.
But that's no different, really, to Ash Greninja.
That's true. Yeah.
Not really much different to that.
That is true. I guess we haven't really. I thought what would be on this list would be Nidoran. So the first actual Pokemon I think that was represented by a Pokemon form, not a change, but just different Pokemon forms, was the Nidoran line, right? And we saw that
sort of see that
Dimorphosis kind of like blend out into 2 completely different Pokemon designs.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, the reason for that is because it was Gen 1 and they didn't have the capability to make a different form. But, like, lore-wise.
If they had made Nidoran even a generation later, it would have been the same Pokedex slot, I believe. I think that's the case. And then it would be, if you get the male one, it evolves into this, you get a female one. I think that would have been the case.
Question. Do you think that Mewtwo would have gotten a similar treatment?
What, being a form of Mew?
Interesting, yeah. I mean, it isn't. Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe.
Or do you think it would be more
like
a region?
No.
Like a what are they called? Paradox Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's like a feature.
It kind of is a paradox Pokemon, isn't it? Mewtwo.
Kind of a paradox Pokemon?
Because it shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
I guess it does exist.
Oh.
It does exist. What are you talking about? No, I don't. It's not like a paradox Pokemon at all. You're both being ridiculous.
Yeah.
So no, but I do think there's room for actually one of the first forms we saw in the animated series were clones, and we saw the clone versions of like Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur with the different spot patterns.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing a video right now where I'm working on like the idea of like other clone. What if other Pokemon got cloned?
That is cool.
And I think Mewtwo is the first of that. So you could kind of consider it a form that way. I think Nidoran's kind of the first form. Yeah, if it had been any other generation. Arbok's also like a really early form Pokemon.
True.
Yeah.
Because depending on which region you find it in, it's got different hood patterns. Yeah.
That's cool.
But that's the forms, I guess.
There was a lot of other. What time is it? How much time more?
Oh no, we're good. That's the forms.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of weird forms that pop up in the anime. Pink Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say it. Do you want to say Crystal Onyx?
Crystal Onyx.
I didn't say it.
Onyx made of crystals.
That would be a great regional variant in the game. I'm so glad that they're doing that in the next game.
I think Crystal Onyx, at this point, like a year ago, I was like, missed opportunity. It should have been a regional form, or it should have been an Area 0. But now I'm like, it should be a convergent species. Or a lookalike.
Cool.
Right?
I mean, they've had so many opportunities. They had the first 2 Alolan forms that they revealed, right?
Yeah.
Were an Ice-type Sandshrew and an
Ice-type
Vulpix.
Make an Ice-type.
Looking at this Onyx, like,
what are you gonna do?
my goodness, they're doing it.
Yeah.
And not only that, they did the Executor, and the Executor with the long neck was on, like, old artwork of, like, jungle Pokemon cards. So it was like, they're gonna do Onyx from the Orange Islands. And heck, it seems to be the case that Alola is effectively the Orange Islands sort of spiritually in the games.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it. They didn't do it. Okay, fine. Then Galar came around. I was like, they're gonna do it for Galar. They didn't do it for Galar. And then Hisui came around. They're gonna do it for Hisui. They didn't do it for Hisui. Paldea's coming up. They're gonna do it for Paldea. They've even got the regional fakes.
Yeah.
Paradox Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just
do it.
Make Crystal Onyx canon.
And it's
in the
not
region
like
where
it's
crystals isn't like
The whole
main
thing
focus.
I know,
is
seriously.
crystals and Terra Pokemon.
Seriously.
Like you can't even get Onyx in the game.
I suppose that's
And
something.
then I think that Pokemon would. I think a Crystal Onyx would be a Blood Moon style Pokemon. Where
I could
where
totally
it's
see
a
that.
standalone one Pokemon. It's away in a cavern.
Ooh,
That's
now
perfect.
hang on, that is maybe my last theory on the check. My first theory is
That's
Crystal
like full
Onyx.
circles.
Maybe I do that.
Stealing
that.
theories from the
I
podcast.
gotta do it. I gotta do it. But it's interesting. There is. Do we have? Are there Terra forms? Because like, there's the masks. There's the
Terraforms. What do you mean?
That's as close as we've gotten.
Yeah.
like
with-
like
with
Ogapon
Ogapons.
has 4 terrestrializations, but they're like
I mean, we'll see.
forms,
We'll
right?
see when the second part of the DLC comes out, because there's no way there isn't going to be a special form for
Terrapagos,
right?
Yeah.
for sure.
Like it has to have some kind of spice to it.
And am I right?
I see it really just like a not even a Mega form. It feels like a Gigantamax form where it's like
Yeah.
not really real.
Now that's really interesting. You should mention that because I think you've got a video you're working on exactly the topic of terrestrialized.
So that's a good idea. I'm gonna
I
take
don't want
that
to
idea.
say too much, but that is literally your next video is about terrestrialized Ogapon stuff.
Maybe.
Stuff, things that I can't say. Really good. So, sorry. I'm sorry, Dusty. I'm just
No, this is
using your
good. Go,
platform.
just keep
Go
going.
and subscribe to Cup of Feet. But the next video is really exciting as well because there's this animation with the masks where it like you
Interesting.
see all 3 sides of
Yeah,
each
yeah,
of the
yeah.
masks.
You're very excited
Okay,
about
I am excited about it. People should go and watch it. It's really good. Anyway, when it's out, I'm sure there's links in the description. Anyway, Terraforms, Gigantamax. We haven't really talked about Gigantamax yet.
We haven't really. I mean, that's
sort of
true. I
glossed
think I
over
kind of
it.
like lumped it all together with Megaforms, but
Mm-hmm.
Gigantamax is interesting because it gives me very like Yu-Gi-Oh vibes.
Sure.
Where it's just a projection. That's how I've always understood it. That's the theory.
Yeah.
That's the camp I'm
Yeah.
in. Where it's like I don't know. It's like
It's like
it's
the
an
crystal
illusion.
gems from Steven Universe, if anyone's seen that. Like, have you ever seen like Steven Universe? You know the characters are just people, right?
Yeah.
Steven.
With like like Steven.
The characters
Belle
are
and
just
Garnet.
people.
Yeah, no, but like they have gems like on their forehead.
Yeah.
Or, like, in
Oh,
their-
cool.
They're actually just the gems, and their bodies are projected light.
I see. Sure,
It's-
sure.
But like because they're sort of tangible as well, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like that.
Got
I
ya.
play the Dark Magician. Oh, I play. What's Yu-Gi-Oh's accent? I'll do Joey. Hey, I play Blue Eye, Red Eyes Dragon in attack mode.
He's been in New York 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And he thinks he can. Okay, right. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Did we talk about Shadow Pokemon?
We
about
haven't spoken about. I love Shadow Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're like my favorite thing. And I think we should wrap this soon. By the way.
Okay.
I love Shadow Pokemon. Shadow Lugia, Dark Celebi from the 4th movie, the Shadow Mewtwo from Pokken Tournament. I think they're a really fun idea. They're kind of the opposite of like. I've always said that if Ash Greninja is the transformation that comes from a person and a Pokemon working together in a way where they are truly bonded and thinking as one, if that's the antithesis of a good Pokemon-human relationship, then Shadow Pokemon and pure Shadow Pokemon like Shadow Lugia and Shadow Mewtwo, that is the ultimate corrupt relationship between people and Pokemon, where the relationship is so abusive, the Pokemon does in fact become more powerful and succeed in that, but it is a form of power that is it normally in some way hindered.
It's the dark side.
So like
Yeah.
normally they don't have access
Like
to all their same moves.
Dark
or
type is not actually evil. Shadow Pokemon is
Shadow
evil.
Pokemon is
Shadow
evil.
Pokemon have been
Shadow
given access
Pokemon-
to powers most what's the phrase?
What
What's
is
the
abilities?
many
The dark side.
Some
Unnatural.
most unnatural?
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
She watched Star Wars one time and
One
she thinks
time.
she's Palpatine.
Yeah, but no, and I think we see that pretty frequently. I think the Mewtwo project was to create a creature fueled by that kind of hate
Sure.
and anger.
They gotta bring that back in a Kanto remake.
Yeah,
We just actually
we just did a
recorded an
podcast
episode
on
about
it.
Kanto
Yeah.
remakes.
But the whole
link
thing
right here.
is
Okay,
that these Shadow Pokemon are. That they get ridiculous power, but they're confused. Their head isn't clear. The doors to their hearts are closed up.
They'll
It's a
attack their
painful
trainer. They'll
experience.
attack their. They'll
100%.
hurt themselves.
Whereas the true most powerful bond you can have with Pokemon is like the Ash Greninja,
Yeah,
which is like
yeah.
a light Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but that's always been my thinking.
I just want to point out, I don't know if this is official or if this is just Bubblepedia. It's not convergent, right? It's not regional fake. They call it ecologically similar Pokemon.
Okay, I can make a guess as to one.
I can't put that in a thumbnail.
No, you
In
can't.
a title.
We have alternately colored Pokemon and ecologically similar.
So would that be
Pokemon.
like
No.
Feebas and Magikarp?
No, they're saying
I
convergent.
mean, technically.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
mean,
That's
that-
what
that's,
they're
that's
using
what they're
for
but
saying.
I think you're right.
But, like,
I would say all of the Unova Pokemon that look like Kanto Pokemon are
Okay.
ecologically similar.
yeah.
So that would be like a Hypno and a
Unova,
Mushroom.
Yeah.
Unova versus Kanto too. Like,
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kanto 2.
Or
Yeah, that's true.
is Kanto Unova too?
Whoa, I'm gonna tweet that. I would say there's really not much else to talk about, but I think the major thing here. Well, I mean, did we talk about Blood Moon enough? You think?
We talked about it. I don't know what else there is to say about it. What do you?
Well, I mean, that was your video was kind of the inspiration of this, so I just want to make sure we have properly.
I feel like we've
discussed
discussed
it.
we've discussed the canon Blood Moons
Yeah.
Yes.
sufficiently.
So, do you think Paradox
Mix.
Pokemon? They're not forms, right?
No, they're not forms. They are separately existing Pokemon. I
Are
think.
you?
'Cause
are you
they
part,
look.
Are you part of Club Dream Theory?
Yes, but I'm also the time machine is real theory. So,
Yeah.
because the time machine is real. Okay, because no, I'm not. We don't have time. We don't possibly have time right now for this.
We're meeting some people for
The time
Korean barbecue.
we gotta go out for food. The time machine is a real time machine, but the paradox Pokemon were dreamed, Phoebe, and they were dreamed
Dreamed in the where?
in the
In
past,
the past.
including the future Pokemon. They're also from the past.
In the past.
Yes,
Wait, is that in the
extra link zone.
It's in the extra link.
So I think that was an in joke. And the Crystal Onyx
The
Yeah.
Crystal Onyx was there.
is real.
Yeah, I think
That's
it.
it.
So
That's-
no, that's kind of what I was gonna end on. Like, I feel like no matter what Bulbapedia is categorizing all of this information,
Which we
as,
should say now, not always for categorization
Yeah.
is the best, in terms of wording and
Wikipedias
stuff.
are
But
Yeah.
take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, no matter how many classifications there might be, I think there's one variable which is that Game Freak will alter or abandon previous trends to just like, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're actually gonna start calling it this. Like, I think regional forms existed before they were calling it regional forms, and then they were like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's just make it a real thing. And now they're like, well, okay, we'll do it something else. And so I think going forward, there's gonna continue to be new types of Pokemon that, like, really, I don't. It's like almost like there's no point in categorizing it
sure,
because it's really just
each
comes down to-
generation will have its
Yeah.
own new
Yeah, their
thing.
own-
But also in the world, it's like things exist naturally, right?
Yeah.
There's also many variants in organic life, and we categorize it to try to make understand it. But it's not really what it's all
There's
about.
lots of variation that's big and small. There's Guzzlord is
Yeah.
effectively a alternate dimension form of Zygarde. Do you know about this?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they're both dragon
The
type.
giant mouth.
And they got the giant mouth, and they got the multiple appendages, and they're both found in the same place. So
I think you're gonna say Gulpin.
they're parallel
Yeah.
universe versions of each other, and that is not a regional variant.
Yeah.
It's just universe variant. But
Yeah, that's true. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you're still watching, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, leave us a review. It helps us more than you think. And also, huge shout out to our mythical tier channel members, Jasco and Timothy on Patreon. And thank you so much to Drogain for being an Arceus tier supporter on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for watching. See ya. Peace.
Cool.
Good, we did it.
Banging.
GG.
That was so
Banging.
good. So good.
Start recording and now recording.
You see, he wants to. All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Ah!
Hello.
Hello.
Can I see the waveform?
Wait.
Hello.
I think the.
We go
What?
No, I think it must. So you're recording, right?
Yes,
The
recording.
top one's moving.
No, those are all muted. I think it's underneath. Can you just double check,
Oh.
Toby? I'm sorry. If you scroll down,
scroll.
there's like 4 or 5 waveforms. Yeah. All right, we're good. All right.
Wah, 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 wah.
La.
La.
Dilly-lee-lee-lee, whoop.
Deli whoop.
Ew.
All right, ready?